Hey guys, Dan here with another quick graphic novel trade paperback review. This time I'm reviewing X-Men 92, which is volume 2, and it's subtitled Lilapalooza. If you're not familiar with who Lila is, it's Lila Cheney. She's a lesser known X-Men character. I do have to start off by saying that, like a lot of people, I highly anticipated reading X-Men 92 because I was a fan of the X-Men cartoon from the 90s. I mean, they didn't really have any Marvel cartoons. I mean, there were a few. There was like Spider-Man and more Spider-Man. There just weren't too many Marvel cartoons when, you know, back in the day. So this was it was a cartoon that I really enjoyed. And everybody, you know, that iconic music, everybody knows that, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to read this. But there's always that but. It's kind of bad. This is volume 2. I did not read volume 0 and volume 1, which maybe I will still give them a chance. Nothing against the artwork, because I do expect it to look cartoony because it is supposed to be referencing the cartoon, which everybody loves. But a few people have compared this to fan fiction, and I've never read any fan fiction. I'm kind of a book snob like that, where I don't want to read something that's not, you know, it's not core to the stories and stuff like that. Like, if it's not canon, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to read it. So I'm not one of the people that's into fan fiction. But yes, it kind of, like, I know what fan fiction is, and I kind of can see how people would say, yeah, this reads like fan fiction, because every page seems to be like over the top. Like, this book jumped the shark, and like within the first 5 pages, which is really sad. And it's kind of, I really hate when, you know, when books or TV shows jump the shark, and if they do it so quickly. I hated this book, guys, and you're probably wondering, well, why are you doing a review of this if you hate this book? I'm doing a review of this because, like me, and I'm sure there's other people out there who absolutely love the X-Men cartoon series, and they're probably anticipating reading this, and you gotta know that this is not as great. There was other inconsistencies too. Like, I thought it was kind of cool that they did feature some bands from the 90s too, and they featured one of my favorite all-time bands, which is Toadies, and they didn't even have the lineup for the Toadies band, like, correctly. They had the new bass player, who is the, you know, the most recent bass player they picked up, and not the original bass player from the 90s, which is Lisa Umbarger, who is the greatest bass player ever, one of the greats from the 90s, and I don't know why they didn't include her, whether they couldn't get her, like, rights to her likeness or something, or they just said, fuck it, let's go ahead and just do the current lineup of Toadies, and then they made the guy from, I'll stop. But they did that to other bands too, where there was no consistency, and they made them look more contemporary. They didn't really look like the 90s. But just the over-the-top, there are always like all these different like characters from the X-Men universe that they threw in here. It was like they tried to jam-pack them all in. And it was just too over-the-top, too much. Marvel, I don't know what you're thinking, why you did this, but I hated this book. I gave it a 1 out of 5 stars. I'll drop the link down below if you want to check out this book for yourself, if you're willing to buy a copy and read it for yourself and see what you think. But, you know, like, it's just my opinion. I absolutely hated this. You, on the other hand, if you're a fan of fan fiction, you might like this. I'm a pretty hardcore X-Men fan, and I'm really surprised that I just didn't like this at all. If you guys like the video, like it, share it with your friends. If you've read this, if you've read any other volumes of this, let me know what you thought. Is it worth even bothering to pick up, like, the previous 2 volumes, or continuing with this series? Should I just end it because if I hated this one, I'll hate them all? If you're not already a subscriber, please hit that subscribe link, and thank you for watching. Till next time, later, guys.